Tim here, coming at you from the music cell. At this time I am making a response thread for Matthew Smith's decade by year challenge thread, where he wants us to show our favorite albums every year for our favorite decade. Well, of course, my favorite decade is the 70s, but it's hard for me to choose my favorite albums because everybody knows my favorite decade's the 70s. I'm just going to show some of my, you could say, top albums from the 70s, and I'm trying to show stuff that's you don't see as much by people, because a lot of people that have made videos for this thread show a lot of classic rock. I don't show as much classic rock and stuff, and I show like some folk and other stuff too from that period. I do show some classic rock, and I'll let you know right now, I'm not much of a Pink Floyd fan. You won't see any Pink Floyd in any of this. I'm good. And because of my health, I'm just making my video in sections by year, and that way I'll be combining all the sections together, and that way it will be easier on me. So I won't be as much of a strain for me in the filming, and then I can just combine them all together in one video. So with that said, I'll get to showing you the music now. I have selected 4 albums from 1970. The first one to show you is my favorite album by my favorite band. That album is A Question of Balance by the Moody Blues. This one I like. Well, this one has, of course, the hit question on it, and it also has Minstrel Song and Melancholy Man on it. And I just like this album, around the total album on it. And a lot of people like some of the other albums that are better than this. Some of their other albums better than this one, but this one is my favorite by them. The other 3 albums I picked are debut albums by groups or artists. First one is McGinnis Flint. This one was a blind buy for me a few years back at a thrift store. But this band, it was formed by Tom McGinnis, who had played the bass and guitar for Manfred Mann's band from around 63 until they disbanded in the late 60s. And Huey Flint, who had played the drums for John Mayall. And they released this album in 1970, of course, and they had a minor hit with the song When I'm Dead and Gone off this album, but I just thoroughly enjoyed this album. Like I said, this was a blind buy a few years back at a thrift store, and I'm just glad I bought it. This is around my this is my favorite thrift store blind buy. Next up is Wishbone Ash's debut album, of course, from 1970, and I know, like, on Discogs they say this album's like hard rock or prog rock. I wouldn't classify it as either of those. I just say it's good old rock from that time period. I was 10 years old when 1970 started out. I turned 10 in December of 1969. And this is what, or their sound is what bands sounded like when they, like any local bands sound like before rock bands sounded like when they were trying to get to be known, and that's the sound that this album sounds like on here. It's a real good rock sound to it, a good 70s rock sound to it, and I just thoroughly enjoy it. I enjoy their sound on around any of their albums. This, in my opinion, this is an excellent debut album. And the last one I have from the 70s is Emmett Rhodes' debut album. Emmett had been with the Merry-Go-Round, and this one I have found out from other members of the VC in their videos, especially from Bull Earhead 6. Emmett had been in the Merry-Go-Round, as I said, and I recently found this at a thrift store, and I picked it up. I got it for like $0.25, and the tunes in this one are real catchy. I tend to start tapping my toes, tapping my fingers on my leg while listening to this, and I just thoroughly enjoy it. Next up will be 1972 or 1971. What am I saying? That's 1970 there for you. Okay, for 1971, I have two more debut albums here, and a live album from another group, from a band that had started out only a few years earlier. Okay, the first one I have to show you, REO Speedwagon's debut album. Yes, this was before Kevin Cronin was even in the group. This is REO Speedwagon. REO Speedwagon. Of course, this is on Epic. This has some of my favorite, one of my favorite songs by them on there. It has the song "Lay Me Down" on it, and this is some good Midwestern rock and roll on here, and it has stuff like 157 Riverside Avenue and Prison Women, Sophisticated Lady on it. Next up, John Prine's solo album. Can't say enough about this album. Pretty much a singer-songwriter album, singer-songwriter, folk, and I just thoroughly enjoy listening to this album. I have this listen to this album I have it on my tablet, and I'll listen to it at night and stuff, and that's how much I like it. And last up for the live album, Chicago at Carnegie Hall. This is volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a 4 LP set. Yes, it's pretty much a box set. It has posters in it. I'm not going to pull the stuff out of here. Of course, it's on Columbia. That John Prine one was on Atlantic, I should tell you. But they had only had like 3 albums Chicago did at the time, and they had already been playing in arenas and stuff, and they even say on this album that they really liked performing at Carnegie Hall. They performed there for a week during this recording, and they said they liked performing there because they could see their audience. They at the arenas, they had trouble seeing out their audience. Can you imagine that, that not being in existence for very long, and yet they were playing in the packed arenas? That's something. Well, that's my albums for 1971. Next up, 1972. Okay, for 1972, I have another 4 albums. The first one, John Denver, Rocky Mountain High. This is my favorite John Denver album. Of course, this has the hit Rocky Mountain High on it. It also has album that's or a song that's popular or was popular at weddings. A song "For Baby for Bobby." It has "Goodbye Again" on it. He also does a cover of the Beatles song "Mother Nature's Song" that I really like on this one. Of course, it's on RCA, which most of his albums were on. Next up, the Edgar Winter Group. They only come out at night. Of course, it has Edgar Winter playing like keyboards and saxophone on here, and a few other instruments. And Ronnie Montrose played the lead guitar and mandolin and 12-string guitar on here. And I also noticed in the credits that Rick Derringer helped out playing like slide guitar and background vocals on here, and also he said pedal steel and claves, whatever that is. But of course, it had the hits "Free Ride" and "Frankenstein" on it. It's just a good classic rock album, in my opinion. And of course, this next one that I feel everybody should have in their collection, Elton John, "Honky Chateau," of course, on Uni Records. Of course, this one has Honky Cat on it and Rocket Man and Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. It's just some classic early Elton John. This is when Elton John was good. And the last one is Nelson, Son of Schmelson. This is pretty much a sequel to Nelson Schmelson, and I actually like this one a little better than that one. This one didn't really have any hits on it. The closest one was Spaceman, which is pretty much my favorite song of his. There are some other songs that other people have mentioned down there to me when I've shown this, and then there's a song called "You're Breaking My Heart," which can't really have airplay on it because of the language in it. That's what I have for 1972. Next up will be 1973. Okay, for 1973, I have 3 albums. First one is Buckingham Nicks. Yes, this is Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks before joining Fleetwood Mac. This is some type of music that they brought with them into Fleetwood Mac. As a matter of fact, they do the song "Crystal" on here, and if I remember it, I think they do it down there, the Fleetwood Mac album. I might be wrong. They might do it down there, the Rumors album. But it's a song that I really like, and I actually like the version on this album better than on the Fleetwood Mac album. And of course, and this is on the label. Next one is Steely Dan, Countdown to Ecstasy. This one is just a good Steely Dan album. It's like their second album. It has and Showbiz Kids and My Old School on are the more recognizable songs on here, and they're just good songs. And of course, it has like the jazz and rock mixture of Steely Dan sound, and it's just a good, enjoyable album throughout the full album. And speaking of Fleetwood Mac, Mystery to Me. I finally picked this album up earlier this year. I'd always seen this like in thrift stores and stuff, and I finally decided to pick it up earlier this year. And when I put it on the turntable, I asked myself, why hadn't I picked it up before? This is my favorite Fleetwood Mac album that I have so far. Because this is the pre-Buckingham Nicks. I just enjoyed it throughout, and it also honored it. They do a cover of the Yardbirds For Your Love on here that I just thoroughly enjoy. So next up, 74. Okay, I have 3 albums for 1974. The first one is Styx, Man of Miracles. Okay, this is before Tommy Shaw was a member of the band. This was when it was John Kurulewski, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, played guitar for the band. There weren't really any hits off this album, but I just like the music on this album, especially the title track, Man of Miracles. And of course it has like Rock and Roll Feeling, which I like on here, and Southern Women's on here. And okay, there's 2 different versions, depending on the pressing you get of the album. The first track of side on the tail side, if you get the wooden nickel label on it, the first track of the tail side might be different. It could be either Lies, which is a cover of the Knickerbockers hit, or Best Thing, which they had also done on their Styx had done on their first album. By what I've seen, different things that I'm thinking, but by some of my research, it showed that Lies was on the first pressing, and then the pressings after that was Best Thing. The first album I got back in the 70s had Best Thing on it, and I had problems finding the copy with Lies on. I finally did find one, and this one here is the one with Lies on. I still have my other copy with Best Thing on it too, also. But this is a real good album. I really love the song Man of Miracles. My son, who will be 26 next month, he really loves the song Man of Miracles. He loves this album also. Next one is the Hollies, their self-titled album. Of course, this is after Graham Nash had left the group, and they proved that they could still have hits after he left. This album has the hit "The Air That I Breathe" on it, and of it also has the day that Curly Belly shot down Crazy Sam McGee, which was like sort of a hit on it. But I also like other songs on there, like Fallen Calling, I really like, and It's a Shame, It's a Game is pretty good on here. And this is just a pretty good album throughout. This is on Epic, and I just thoroughly enjoy this album. And the third one I have is Dave Mason's self-titled album. This is his first album on Epic. Yeah, he was having contract problems with his old label, and so he moved over to Columbia, and this album is really actually pretty good. Like he does a killer cover of All Along the Watchtower on this one, and he also does Bring It On Home to Me on here, and I just thoroughly enjoy this album, and I've even heard them play All Along the Watchtower on a local classic rock station on here. His cover of it, and it's a real good cover of it. Next up, 75. Okay, I have 3 albums here for 75. First one up, Bob Seger, Beautiful Loser. The song that got my attention off this album was back in 75, the song Kathmandu. I grew up in northern Iowa, and that song was played a lot on a local FM station, and I just loved that song back then, and I still do. And that's one of the main reasons that got me to buy this album, and I just love this album. Like the songs about Beautiful Loser and Black Knight and Traveling Man. I just love all those songs. And it's on Capitol. Next up, this is a guy whose albums I have trouble finding. This is a compilation. He had a lot of soft rock hits back in the 70s. That's Lobo, the best of Lobo, of course. The song that a lot of people know him for is Me and You and the Dog Named Boo. He also had hits with like I'd Love You to Want Me and Don't Expect Me to Be Your Friend, or a couple other big ones. And he had some other ones, but this is greatest hits album of his, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and I just love his music. And this is on Big Tree Records. And the other one is also a compilation, and it's a guy I'm going to go see next month. That's Gordon Lightfoot. This is Gord's Gold, and this is a double album set, and it has hits at stuff he wrote for other artists, along with his own hits and stuff. And it's an album that I never tire listening to. It has stuff like I'm Not Saying and Ribbon of Darkness together, and Canadian Railroad Trilogy, and Softly, Bitter Green, Early Morning Rain, Minstrel of the Dawn, Sundown, Beautiful, Summer Side of Life, Rainy Day People, Con Jenny, If You Could Read My Mind, Coat on the Shoulder, and Carefree Highway on it. Next up, that's on Reprise Records. Next up, 76. for 1976, I have 3 albums. First one is Foghat Night Shift. This album has a hit driving wheel on it, and I like the song I'll Be Standing By, which is pretty much a blues song. But Foghat's a good hard rock album from the 70s. I've always liked their music from the 70s, and I just thoroughly enjoy around all their albums from the 70s. And this is on baritone. This one is like the others, it doesn't let me down. Next up was a blind buy for me when I first bought it in the 70s, and that's Klaatu. It's hard to classify a category for this one. Sometimes it's like prog rock, sometimes it's like good old rock and roll, and I just classify it under rock. And have like and the song that always catches people on here is Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft. That song was even covered by and was a hit for the Carpenters couple years later. And this is on Capitol. And the last one I have is Ringo's Rotogravure. Of course, this is Ringo Starr, and 2 of the 3 other Beatles played on some of the songs on here, helped out. John Lennon and Paul McCartney played on some of the songs on here, and also Linda McCartney. He did play a song or 2 written by George Harrison. Also on here, Van Dyke Parks and Eric Clapton helped out also. This is on Atlantic. Next up, 77. Over to 1977. I have 3 albums for this year. First one is my favorite Yes album. It's Going for the One. Of course, it's on Atlantic. Of course, that's the title track, Going for the One, which is one of my favorite Yes songs, and it also has Wondrous Stories which I really like. Sorry, my wife seems to be talking a little loud on the phone in the background. If you can hear that, I'm sorry about that. Next up is an artist that I didn't like too well back then at the time, because one of his songs on the radio was a big hit, but they played it over and over and over again on the radio, and I was just sick and tired of the song. Well, but I did like another song that they did play at times on the radio. Well, I started liking that other song since they weren't playing it much on the radio anymore. But last year on Record Store Day, I found a compilation of some of his early stuff in a dollar bin. I found it on Record Store Day in a record store. I just like dollar bins, and I decided to pick it up and check it out. I figured $1, that's not spending too much. The artist record is Al Stewart, the early years. It's a 2 LP compilation. It's on Janus Records. And when I threw it on, from the first song on, I just loved this one. I can't really tell you which songs stand out. It's just like every song on here does, and it's like his stuff from his first 3 or 4 albums, and oh, just looking at on here, like Rick Wakeman helps out on here, and on some of the stuff, and last album for 70's that I have, one that everybody wore out that year, including myself. Meatloaf's Bad Out of Hell. Of course, it has the title track Bad Out of Hell, and Heaven Can Wait, and 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad, and of course, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. This is on Epic Records. Next up, the year I graduated, 78. Okay, now to 1988, the year I graduated high school. I picked 4 albums here. Mathew, I'm glad that you said we could do compilations where the songs could be a lot older than the year or decade that we're doing, as long as the album was released that year that we're in, because this is by a group that, okay, in 78, they were big in the disco scene. But this group, a lot of people in the VC and vinyl community really like their stuff from like the later 60s and real early 70s. Well, I have a compilation on Pickwick from 78 that was released in 78 of stuff that they released, or of stuff that they recorded before that wasn't released in the United States, that was recorded in Australia. The group I'm talking about are the Bee Gees, and the name of the album is Monday's Ring. I got this album because of the song Spicks and Specks. I have a 4 CD set of theirs, and on one CD it's all live stuff, and they do a little bit of Spicks and Specks, and I really liked that song, and so I wanted to find it on vinyl, and I finally found it on this one, and I grabbed this one when I found it. And it's I just really enjoy this album, hearing their real early stuff. And like it says, guess on this side it says circa 1964. Next up, I'm not sure whether it should be considered like country or country rock, or how it should be classified. It's Emmylou Harris, Quarter Moon in a 10-cent Town. I love Emmylou Harris's singing voice, and this is my favorite of her albums, of course, like 2 More Bottles of Wine, and Leaving Louisiana in a 10-cent Town, and Defying Gravity, and now where's Green Rolling Hills. And I just love this, her voice in this full album. This is on Warner Brothers. And another guy I like, of course he was in Steelers Wheel, and then went solo. That's Jerry Rafferty, City to City. Of course, they had hits with Baker Street and Right Down the Line, but my favorite one on here that was it for him is Home and Dry. I also like Stealing Time off of here, or City to City. I like that song, the title track. I just like this entire album, and this is on United Artists. And the fourth album I have from '78 on here, it's a debut album for a group. That's Total, their debut album. Of course, this one has I'll Supply the Love and Hold the Line on it. And of course, this is on Columbia. Next up, 79. Oh, finally to 1979. I have 3 albums for 1979. First one, Queen, News of the World. This is my favorite album by Queen. Of course, this one has the hits We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions on it. But my favorite album from this album are Spread Your Wings. It also has songs like Sheer Heart Attack on here and It's Late. And I just thoroughly enjoyed this album throughout. And, like I said, it's from '79. It's on, or it's from '79 on Elektra. This next one, it's Jon Stewart, Bombs Away, Dream Babies. Of course, this is an album with the hit song Gold on it and Luster in the Sun. Some of the members of Fleetwood Mac help him out on here, like Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks help him out, and it also has Midnight Wind on here. Jon Stewart was a member of the Kingston Trio for a while. I have thoroughly enjoyed his solo work, and I want to find more of it. I have one or two more of his albums. I want to find more of his solo work. And if you can see here, it's also a gold label promo that I have here. And okay, and for ending this off the albums, I'm ending it off with an album by, I live in Rockford, Illinois. I figured I ended off with an album by a local group that you might have heard of. Yeah, and yes, it's from '79. The group just happens to be Cheap Trick. The album is Dream Police. Yes, the album is, it has the hit Dream Police on it, and Gonna Raise Hell, and Voices, and Need Your Love on it. And it's on Epic. Hi Matthew, it's me. I'm surprised I could, my health helped out, so I could finish it all in one day. I hope you liked it. Sorry about the length, just that I have trouble picking one favorite for each year. I have so many that I like. I hope you enjoyed it, and I think this is more the styling I'll do my videos in for now on, because of the way my health's been. Not doing it in segments like this, and I'll probably be doing most of my videos will be more like thread responses from now on, and I'll be of course I'll be selective on what I'll be doing for thread responses as I end up most of my videos. Until next time, take it easy and keep on rocking.